Well, hey everyone, happy Friday. Another week in the books, first week of August. I can't believe we're already here. But an amazing couple of CMO coffee talks this morning. Was just thrilled with the discussion. First of all, no Latney today. She was with you the last couple of weeks without me while I was on vacation. She's taking a day off today, which is good for her. So a couple good conversations this morning around SDRs, how to manage them, what has changed in the pandemic time. I feel like we could have gone for 3 hours plus with each of the groups. So I want to thank Helen Baptist from Path Factory for being my co-pilot and for helping me moderate this morning on the East Coast call. I want to thank Trisha Gelman, CMO at Drift, for helping us out with the Pacific Coast call. Some highlights that I think were worth talking about here. One is just the mix between inbound and outbound. I thought was really interesting. A lot of SDRs still focused on just the leads at hand and what comes in. And there was a pretty broad discussion about, how valuable some of those leads are versus identifying leads that are going to be more receptive to your message. Like, do you have to wait till a lead is generated to have the right prospect? Can you use intent data, for example, to identify leads that your SDRs can call at the right time based on some heat map of what they're thinking about or based on sort of certain signals or triggers, and be more efficient at generating appointments? So we had a good conversation around that. Sales versus marketing, owning the SDR, obviously a very can be a heated topic. I think with a CMO group, we certainly saw an awful lot of people that were the where marketing was owning the relationship. I think it requires, no matter what, whether sales owns it or marketing owns it, certainly requires a really tight relationship and tight collaboration between sales and marketing. But we saw no matter who owns it, the conversation around prospect experience was a big part of our discussion this morning as well. If all you're doing is smiling and dialing, if you're just like hammering your prospects to try to get them on a call and get them into an appointment, you may get a handful of appointments, but the collateral damage that you would be doing with the rest of those prospects is significant and will last far longer than whether you decide to keep that rep in-house or whether you decide to keep that strategy going. And so it's really important to think about the process and the message and the approach and the content that your SDRs and BDRs are using, whether they sit in marketing or sales, or even if they're outsourced. Maybe even more importantly, if they're outsourced, that is not just appointment setting, that is prospect experience. You have to think about it as part of the reputation building that you're creating for your company. You have to think about it as part of your brand. So it's really important to make sure that you're managing that experience appropriately, ideally in an integrated way between what the rest of your marketing is doing as well. So that was a big part of we had a really interesting conversation around whether you should outsource some of your SDR functions. We had a couple people share some of their feedback on working outside. The consensus is it can work. You got to find someone that works with you. There was one person in particular who had a pretty large spreadsheet that she shared of all the research she had done on a bunch of outsourced SDR channels. If you'd like to get a copy, ping me. I got a copy of that. I'm happy to send it to you. And then literally at the end of the Pacific Coast call, Kevin Marasco from Zenefits mentioned that they actually have an SDR certification program. So what they do is they train their SDRs not just on the product, but they make sure they know how to use the tools. They make sure that they have certain competencies and understanding of certain behaviors that are expected. Part of that certification is calling Kevin or another member of the leadership team and sort of doing a live call with them, and they have to pass that call. So he's going to share that certification documentation for us as well. You'll be able to get anything that we talk about usually that is sort of a document that comes from the CMO Coffee Talk is available in the Coffee Talk Hub. So certainly encourage you to check that out. If you need a link to that, you can ping me as well. But boy, another really robust conversation. Just a lot of great people were willing to sort of share what they're working on. And the one thing I guess I didn't even talk about is sort of the changes right now in the pandemic time. I think it's conversion rates are lower, connect rates are a little lower. It's taking more calls to get people's attention. It doesn't change the required approach you need to take. It's just harder right now, but people are clearly making it work. So another great session. Looking forward to next week. We've got a couple ideas of what we think next week are going to be. Don't want to announce it here just because we may have some, we need to make sure we've got a couple sort of guest speakers lined up for it. But I want to thank everyone who continues to be part of this with us. If you are a marketing leader, especially if you're in B2B, if you're a VP of marketing, if you're a CMO somewhere, if you want to join our CMO community, we have over 600 CMOs that are signed up. We get a rotating group of 100, 150 every Friday across the East Coast and Pacific Coast versions. We would love to have you. Send me a note, send me a message, and I'll get you an invite to that group. Otherwise, thank you very much. Hope this is useful. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.